She's like, oh, the only thing is there's no oven. And we're like, there's no oven? Like, there's no oven? We're just like, we couldn't believe it. There was no oven. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for clicking and watching. If this is your first time here, my name is Ree and I make fashion and lifestyle videos. So for today's video, I wanted to do something that I thought was really important and could be very helpful for some of you guys. I recently moved into my new apartment with my boyfriend about 3 to 4 months ago, and the process was exhausting. It was basically really tough. It's not easy to find an apartment. Everybody knows that's like moving and taxes are supposed to be like the worst things to do, I guess. But yeah, it wasn't easy at all, but it was definitely rewarding in the end. I wanted to walk you guys through the process of finding an apartment in Toronto, but you can also use these tips that I'm going to share with you in any place that you guys live. So let's get right into it. Okay, like I mentioned before, I do live in Toronto, and my boyfriend and I moved for the first time during the pandemic. So we both live separately, and then we decided to move in together during the pandemic, and we found a place that was right downtown, and it was a really good price. It was $17.75 for a 1 bedroom, which was really big, and it was in a really nice old building. So it was great for the first day basically, but we soon after found out that we definitely did not want to stay there past that 1 year for the leasing, and we wanted to find something new. So I wouldn't say that we regretted going with that decision in our last place that was downtown, but we definitely settled, I would say. We were looking for other areas because we had our specific areas that we really wanted, but everything in those areas were basement apartments, and that's fine 100%. Like, any place that has a roof over your head and you feel good in, live wherever you want to live. But for us, we knew that that's not something we wanted. So when we found this place that was on the 4th floor for $17.75, we were like, let's do it. It's close to the subway. So when we decided to move again, we were like, we are not going to settle. We're going to get the place that we want, and we're going to try really, really hard and look and look and look. And that's exactly what we did. So I say settle in our last apartment because there were some things that we definitely didn't get that we wanted. And one of those things were to be close to a park. We knew we really wanted to be close to a park because we love to walk around. We love to just like be outside, especially in the summertime. And we also have a dog, so we knew that that was a really nice place to be. Okay, so I'm going to share with you guys the checklist that we made before we started our search. I think it's really important to have a checklist before you even enter into this journey. You have your non-negotiables, and then you have your nice to haves. So the non-negotiables are things like you will not budge on, you need to have, and if it's not there, you have to leave. Like, there's no point looking further at the place. Like, goodbye, put back on your shoes and walk out the door. And then your nice to haves are just like the sprinkle on top for the property. Okay, so we needed to be close to the subway. That was a non-negotiable. Needed to be close to the subway because you need to get around, and that's how we get around in the city. It needs to be walkable. Again, we love to walk around. I don't want to always have to get on the subway to go where I want to go. I want to be able to walk to different neighborhoods, enjoy my own neighborhood. So that was really important to us. It needed to have an outdoor space. That was one of the things that we settled on in our last place. It didn't have an outdoor space, and I missed it so much. So an outdoor space was crucial. So either a backyard or a balcony, either one was perfect for us. Another one was a den, just to have like an extra space. I work from home, so having an office, a den, anything like that that's not a bedroom or a living space would be pretty handy to have. That was not a non-negotiable though. That was a nice to have. Yeah, that was a nice to have. Natural light was really important because you don't want to feel like you're sad. Like, when it's gloomy, then you're just sad. So natural light is good. For it to be cozy, clean, spacious, laundry. Laundry was a big thing. My boyfriend, in his place before we moved in together, he had to go to a laundromat. I actually was fortunate enough to have laundry in my unit, and then our last place we had it in the building. So we wanted to actually have laundry in the unit. That was for me a nice to have because, well, I at least wanted it or needed it on the premises of the building or the house, but my boyfriend, he needed it in the unit. So yeah. And then storage, definitely need places to put your clothes, your items, all your stuff. And also our budget was $2,000. So yeah, so that was a long list, but we knew, we're like, it's gonna be tough, but let's freaking go. Let's make this happen. Oh, and another non-negotiable was the area. So we really narrowed it down to the area we wanted it, and we wanted it on the west side. We like the west of Toronto a little bit better than being right downtown. And the east is cool to just hang out in sometimes, but we love being on the west end of Toronto. So that was also a non-negotiable. Okay, so now I wanted to walk you through some of the places we ended up checking out, and no surprises here, a lot of them were grim. So the first place we saw, we actually ended up walking around. We decided to go out one, I think it was like a Saturday afternoon, and we decided to just walk around the area that we liked, and if we saw like any open houses or anything like that, or just to get a better idea of where exactly, like what streets or anything, because sometimes you do see like for rent signs and you can call them, or maybe they're in and you can just like knock on the door, things like that. So we decided to walk around the neighborhood, and we saw one it was by St. George, and that was not really the area we wanted to be in, but St. George Station. And it was basically an opportunity for people to just check out the building, and it's just like open for anybody to walk in. So we got there right when it was closing, and we looked around, and it had an outdoor space. It was pretty small though, the living space was small. There was no extra like den or living space, and to be honest, it looked really just dirty. It looked dirty. My boyfriend also saw mold, and so that was a no-go. We said no, but it was also really cool to just check it out to see what's on the market, and it was pretty sad, but yeah, that was a no. There was also laundry in the building, and we checked it out, and it looked gross. It just looked like it wasn't taken care of, so we definitely didn't go forward with that. And I think the rent was $1,900. So it's still a lot of money. Like, that's a lot of money, especially for a one bedroom. And if you don't have a partner, someone that you're going to be splitting the rent with, $1,900 is a lot of money. So we were like, no, 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 no. Okay, next up, we actually saw this place on, I think it was Rentals.ca, or now I actually forget all of the websites, even though I was on all of them all the time. But I'll definitely leave links down below of the websites that we checked out to help find a place. So like Padmapper, Rentals.ca, all those good things. But yeah, so the second place we found, and we ended up checking it out. And sorry, I didn't mention, we decided to up our budget to 2,200. So we said, you know what, let's do 22, because we were just seeing so many basement apartments and nothing else. And for $2,000 for a basement apartment, and we're like, what is going on? Did we miss something? Okay, yes. So the next place that we checked out was definitely in the area that we wanted it to be more. So that was really exciting. But we went to check it out. It was in a really nice neighborhood. It was on a quiet street, and it was in a house. And in this area, you're going to find more houses than buildings, which is really nice because it gives a more residential area, more cozy, more like neighborhood feel, rather than like big tall buildings. So we saw this apartment. It was on the first floor of a house. And when I tell you, I was confused. Like, we were confused going in there. You walk in, it just seems like very noisy. It almost felt like almost frat housey. It felt like a frat house, and it was the first floor, and it was tiny. It was supposed to be 2 bedrooms, not even a 1 plus den. It was called a 2 bedroom. So we thought we hit the jackpot. We go in. I don't even have pictures for all of these places, which breaks my heart because I wish I could show you guys the pictures, but when I can find pictures, I'll add them in. But you basically walked in and there was a very narrow kitchen, and it was very like renovated. The kitchen was renovated, but then there was no place to put a kitchen table or anything. It was just the kitchen right against the wall. And then you walk into the living space. The living space was the size of a den. It was like very, very small. And I think there was no window. There was no window in there. And then the bedroom was off to the left. And that one had a big window, but facing the front of the house, which had a porch, so you knew that other people in the house were going to be sitting on the porch sometimes in the summer. And how annoying would that be, that your bedroom, people are having conversations and you're trying to sleep, and that's just like a no-go. And it also had no storage in the bedroom either. I think like one small closet, but that was it. And it was very small. Like, we have a queen size bed, which is a standard size, and we wouldn't have been able, I think we could just fit the bed in and nothing else. And in the living room, we couldn't fit our couch. We have a sectional, we wouldn't be able to fit it. And then the back room, the second room, had a window that was blacked out. The window was blacked out, and I asked him, like, oh, is there something wrong here? Like, it looked like a horror film. I said, is there something wrong here? She's like, oh yeah, that's the storage at the back, like in the backyard. I don't know. I don't know why they have to black out the window, but it was dark, it was gloomy, and it was sad. So, and then the laundry room was also outside in the basement. So that was okay, but not the best. They also didn't accept dogs, but sometimes, especially if you have a small dog, you could just go in and see, and then maybe you could speak to people in person. Because I heard also that you can't really say you can't have a dog, which I would think you'd be able to say that, but you can't. So we told them, we asked them, because at that point you're also desperate a little bit. You're just like, hey, am I going to find a place? Am I going to find a place? So we were speaking to her, and she was lovely. And she was like, I really like you guys. And we're like, we have a dog. And then she thought about it, and she's like, it's okay if you have a dog. And then we even got her down to $2,000 for rent. We said we don't really know if it's worth 2,200. What about 2,000? She's like, the house is paid off, so we're just looking for good tenants. Like, it's $2,000 works. And we're like, woo, your house is paid off. Like, good for you. Oh my gosh. But then we literally, as soon as we walked out and took 10 steps, we decided that's not the place for us, which I'm so grateful for, because we definitely wouldn't have been happy there. There are also 2 sets of apartments upstairs. 2 sets, so there's 4 people upstairs, because I think it was 2 couples or 2 sets of friends, I don't know. But there are 4 people upstairs, and that's too much going on. And then there were some people downstairs too. So we didn't go with that place, and then we were like, okay, that's okay. We have our standards, we've got our list, like, we're okay. The next place we saw was everything. It was so good. It was a few streets over from the last place we saw, and it was in the perfect area. The only thing is, it was a little bit of a walk away from the station, from the subway station. It was about a 12 minute walk, and we wanted something to be like a 5-minute walk, but we were going to go up to 10. Anyways, this place was on the second floor of a house, so the top floor of the house, and it was so lovely. The house was so nice. The apartment was really lovely. So we walked inside. There was a line. Actually, let me start over. When we got there, we were first in line, because we had like the first appointment of that day, but a line grew behind us. So that was already like, oh my gosh, like, this is a hot commodity. What are we going to do? We're stressed. Then when we got inside, we were immediately in love with the place, and we're like, we want it, we need it, we gotta have it. So we walked inside, and there was a really lovely kitchen. There wasn't a lot of countertop space, but it was just like, felt really warm inside. And then there was a really lovely space to put the dining room table, a really nice living room space. It was pretty narrow, not so narrow, but it wasn't very big, but it was comfortable. It was cozy. And there was no den. There was a laundry in the unit. The bathroom was really lovely and it had a separate shower and a separate bath. And there was also a window in the bathroom. So we just fell in love with it immediately. There was no outdoor space as well. So there were some things that were non-negotiables that we just saw like stars. We didn't even care. But there was also a park literally right outside. There was a really lovely park. So we said it's okay like if there's no outdoor space. And the bedroom was also lovely and it had gorgeous windows. So we wanted it so bad, but we knew that other people were interested in it. So it wasn't the typical application that you would usually get when you're dealing with a realtor or you're dealing with a property manager. It was a house, so it was just like the landlords. So it's a little bit more relaxed in that sense. Sometimes, I don't know about all the time, but sometimes it is. But anyways, we ended up having to wait, I think 5 days to wait for his response. And he told us it was going to be a 5-day wait. So we were stressed. We were just talking like all the time. Like we had to stop ourselves from talking about this place. And 5 days later, I messaged him and we did not get the place. So I remember I was actually at my partner's house and I had to pack up my things and leave. I'm like, I am so sorry. I have to go home. I'm just so sad right now. So I had to leave because I was so disappointed. I'm like, this was the perfect place and this journey has been so tough and I just want to find a place. So we didn't get that place and then we started to get like desperate. So there's a few other like searches that we did, but it was just getting really hard and really tiresome. So then we saw after that, we found this place that was again pretty close by. It was on the other end of where we were willing to go. So we wanted to be between one station and like another station. We didn't want to go further than that. So we looked and we found this place. It looked really, really lovely online. This place was $2,300. So it was definitely pushing past our limit. But we were like, you know what, if it's perfect, let's just get it because we need to find some place to live. At this point, we probably have maybe 3 weeks until we have to move out. Because you have to give your notice. You have to give 2 months notice to move out. And usually when you're looking, you don't find a place until the month that you're looking. That's when all the places really go up because they want to get someone in kind of right away. So for that following month. So this is like crunch time. We are 3 weeks out. We don't have a place and we need to move. So this place was very cute from the outside. The pictures looked incredible. And it was, again, I think it was was it a 2-bedroom? No, it was a 1-bedroom, but it was lovely. So we walk into this house. It was a house and then, so basically there's houses and they split them up into apartments. So they'll make each floor a different apartment. And that's a really cool idea. And it's really homey because you feel like you're living in a house, but it's an apartment. So anyway, so this was again on the first floor of the house. And I also didn't really want that. I wanted it to be on like the second floor. I didn't want to be on the first floor, but we decided to still take a look at it. And it looked nothing like the pictures. First of all, the front door of the apartment was like a bedroom door. It was a bedroom door. We're like, what is this? I'm just looking at my bedroom door to just like, it was like a bedroom door. So we're like, that's really strange. Like, this is our home. This is our apartment. So we go inside and as soon as you walk inside, it is dark. It looks so, so dark. There's like one tiny window that's almost like some basement windows. I know a lot of basements are very airy and spacious and they have like big windows, but this one was like your typical kind of basement window, like this big. And you open the door and it had the laundry just right there, the washer and dryer just sitting in the living room. There was no like nice cupboard for it or anything. It was just there. and it also smelt. The place smelt. So the bedroom was facing the front of the house. That was pretty bright and okay. The bedroom was okay, but the living space, I couldn't get over it because it was so cramped. It couldn't fit our couch, like even a normal sized couch. It was just so cramped. It was so dark, and it was like right by the front door. Like it was, you're, as soon as you open the door, you're like, you can sit on the couch. So it was just like, no. And then the kitchen was actually really lovely and renovated. And then the backyard was the star of the show. It was gorgeous. The backyard was gorgeous. It was like so serene. It was so calming. And the backyard was all ours. So that was a great selling point. So we still said no to the place because it was $2,300 and it was terrible. There was no living space. And we were just so confused. It also looked nothing like the pictures. And we asked the realtor, we're like, this doesn't look like the pictures. So that's also a huge thing. A lot of people put pictures up that look nothing like their place to get you to come in. And you're like catfished. You're just like, this looks nothing like the pictures. Like, I don't understand why people do that still and why they waste people's time, because you go all the way there and then it looks nothing like the place. And that's why it's really important to always look, like always go and look to see where you're going to be living. I know sometimes, especially during the pandemic, there were times when we were looking for places the first time around that was like, you can't see it, you just have to like look at these pictures. Actually, there was a brief moment that we were going to move by the High Park area, and that was like a big condo, and she said you can't go and see it because of the pandemic, but she was giving you like virtual tours, but not even like she would go inside. The woman, like the rep that we were dealing with, she would just say, here's a video of a similar apartment that you're going to be moving into. And I got a little bit like, because I was stressed, I was a mess at these points, and I was like, we need to just get this place, we need to get it. My boyfriend was like, calm down, like we're not doing this. So luckily he kept us a little bit more grounded, because I was a mess of a person for the whole moving period. But yeah, so we said no to this last apartment, and at this point we were deflated. We were so deflated. We were so just like sad. We were just like thinking, where are we going to move? Like, what are we going to do? And then we saw another apartment. We saw another apartment that was close, in a really lovely area. This was on a really nice side street again. It was a house. It was on the first floor again. So again, like no. But okay, we still wanted to see it. It was 2,200, and it was the space was beautiful. It had like a really nice park for the neighborhood, like a neighborhood park close by, and that was really cute. And so we checked it out, and it looked so freaking cute. It was so cute when you went inside. It had a really lovely brick wall, and it just looked cozy and nice. The only thing is, no storage. Like, not even pretending to have storage. There was no place to put anything. There was no front closet. There was no linen closet. There was no closet in the bedroom. There was no place to put your things. It was almost like it was for a student that literally came with one backpack, and that's all they had, because you couldn't put anything anywhere. So that was like pretty crazy. Also, the bedroom had the window for the backyard, and the backyard was a shared space for everybody in the house to use, which I asked how many people live upstairs. It was 2 apartments upstairs, and I remember she's like, there are 4 med students. And I'm thinking, I don't know why it matters that they're med students. In the bedroom, the back door was the window, and it was to get you into the backyard, obviously, but you basically had to keep it closed all the time because there were people in the backyard. So you wouldn't want your drape to be open and people can see you lying in your bed. So you'd have to keep that closed. There was no storage. Then we realized, we went to the kitchen and it was gorgeous. And she's like, oh, the only thing is there's no oven. And we're like, there's no oven? Like, there's no oven? We're just like, we couldn't believe it. There was no oven. So we were just like, what in the world is going on? So we left. It was 2,200. It did have a laundry machine, but it was laundry and I hope you can't hear that. I hope you can't hear that, but if you can, my boyfriend's just taking a shower, so let's not mind that. So there was a laundry machine, but it was a laundry and dryer in one, and it was very small, and it was also in the kitchen. So we actually left and we walked around the neighborhood and we were like, oh my gosh, should we just buy an oven? Like, should we just buy an oven and just move in and live here? And then we started to weigh the pros and the cons, and we looked at our list of non-negotiables and of our needs and everything, and we decided that it's a no. It's a no, even though it was very cute and it was in such a cute neighborhood. But again, if you have looked for apartments, it can become so stressful, so daunting, and it's so easy to settle at some points because you're just like, I've had enough, and I'm just so scared that I'm gonna be out on the streets because I didn't find a place in time. So at this point, so we said no to that place. And at this point, I was literally getting ready to email our property manager to ask for an extension, if we can please continue our lease. At this point, it's 2.5 weeks until we have to move. So we were like, I actually don't know what's going to happen. And then it was the last place. If you can't guess, it's the place that we're in now. This was the last place we saw. So my boyfriend basically found this space on one of the sites. I can't really remember which one it was. I think it was Padmapper, but I'll ask him and let you guys know. And he sent it to me, and I remember then he called me on his break. He's like, did you get the place I sent you? And then I was like, oh yeah, I just messaged them. And he's like, okay, good. I messaged them like an hour ago, so perfect. So then he messaged me. He's like, okay, I got a spot for us to go in tomorrow morning. So I'm like, okay, perfect. And then I got a message from the landlord to go in a little later, but so many things were happening, so I didn't get an opportunity to let her know that I'm going already with like, it's both of us. There's two separate people that message about the place, but we're obviously looking to get it together. So we go the next morning and we were pleasantly surprised. It was again in a house. It was 5 minutes away from the subway, like a 5-minute walk, maybe even like 3. It's perfect walk from the subway. And then it was also on the 3rd floor of the house. So the house has 4 floors. It has like basement, the 1st floor, the 2nd floor, and then the 3rd floor. So check, check, check. So we go inside and it is so, so cozy. It is so cozy. It's perfect. It has a really lovely loft style because there are our own sets of stairs in our apartment, so it kind of really gives a nice homey feel to it. You walk in and you're greeted with the kitchen, which is lovely and spacious. It's so big, and there's a lovely huge island where you can prepare all your food. And then there was a really nice living space, a living space and a dining space where you can put all your furniture and everything and get cozy. And then there was like a window. The only thing is the window was pretty small, so we were really nervous that the natural light wasn't going to be too much because it was a pretty small window for that whole space. But it was really clean. It was really lovely. The father who built the place was actually a carpenter, so everything was made with love, made well, which was like high on our list. And then you walked into the den. The den was the size of a bedroom. It was perfect. It was so big. The only thing was it didn't have a proper window. It had a skylight. So yeah, you couldn't open the window to get air in, but it still had natural light, which was so beautiful, and it was just so bright. Oftentimes you would think like, is the light left on? Because the room just lit up so lovely. So then that was really nice. It had so much storage. It had storage in the den. It had storage in the hall, just like the little hallway to put your coats and everything. It just had so much storage. And then you walk to the bathroom, just a standard bathroom, nothing crazy. And then you also had the bedroom. The bedroom was so big, so nice. It had a lovely 2-door closet again. And then the best part of it, it had a balcony. From the bedroom, it leads out into the balcony, which is just so lovely and so spacious. There's also a little glimpse of the CN Tower, which we get to see, which is just like, ooh, it's just nice. If you live in Toronto, if you don't, it's just like, it's just cute to see the CN Tower, you know. And then we also have a backyard space which everybody can use. Everybody can use the backyard. And then there's also a laundry in the basement, so a paid for laundry. That was the one thing my boyfriend was a little bit like, oh, gutted a bit, but at this point, not at all, because we hit the jackpot. And this place was 2,200, but she put it down for 21 for us because we just had a good connection. And she's like, you know what, because you have to pay for hydro and gas, she's like, I'll do it for 2,100. And we were like, what about 2,000? We didn't say that, but we were kind of hoping she'd be like 2,000, but we got it for 2,100. So our budget went from 2,000 to 2,200, and we were able to get it under budget for $2,100. And we've been living in this place for how long now? For 3 to 4 months, I think 4 months now. And we are just so in love with it. It is so cozy. It is close to the park. It has a huge park close by. And yeah, we're just so happy here. And we can picture ourselves staying here for years to come until we can afford to buy our own house, like our dream home. And in my next video, I'm going to show you guys an apartment tour to show you guys how we've set it up so far and certain things we want to change to it. Also, it was so incredible because we didn't even have to fight for the place, because I explained to the landlord, I'm like, oh, I was actually your next appointment. Like, sorry, I didn't realize he messaged you. And she's like, oh, perfect. Okay, well, you guys got the place because, you know, I like you guys. And we actually bonded over something too, like during our conversation. So it was just like really good chemistry, and that's something you don't get all the time when you're dealing with a property manager. When you're dealing with a landlord, it's just like a little bit more um, of a nice bonding experience, because she really wanted to find someone who was going to be good for her space, like her own home, and we wanted to find someone that's going to be good to communicate with. So we were both really happy that we found a really good match. And yeah, we've really been loving it, and we're just so grateful, and we're so happy to be living in this space. But now I'm just going to share with you guys some tips that I've learned along the way and that I just wanted to share with you guys. Okay, tip number 1 would be walk around desired area. So find an area or 2 or 3 that you want to live, and I would suggest just walking around the area to see if that is the area that you're going to feel good living in, or if you just like to instead just go there and visit for an afternoon. And also it's going to give you a better idea of what may be streets to look at, if there's any for rent signs, anything like that. Because like I mentioned, I don't think I actually mentioned this actually, but we walked around the High Park area after we found that one building, and we realized High Park is not for us. We don't want to live in High Park. We like to go and just go there, go to the park, go around the neighborhood, but we didn't want to live there. So it's really good to just take the time to look around. My next tip will be to look multiple times a day. So look out on those websites, on the apps, multiple times a day, because things are added all the time, and you need to look all the time. Like you can't just look once a day. You need to look like 20 times a day. It's like a full-time job, but when you finally find the place, you're going to be so happy you did. Yeah, and so look on Zumper, Padmapper, Rentals.ca. Those are like the biggest ones in Toronto to look at. Also, look at everything. Even though the places may not look exactly like how you expect them to look, like you're like, oh, I don't like how this is pictured or whatever, or maybe the people didn't move out yet, so the pictures have a lot of clutter in them or whatever. I would just suggest looking at everything, because you get such a better idea when you go to the space and you look at it for yourself. tip would be to make sure that where you're going to live is close to a grocery store, especially if you don't have a car. We don't have a car, and I can't imagine being further from a grocery store than we are now. We are so lucky we have 3 grocery stores very close by, and I'm just so grateful because I would not want to like be in the winter time just walking to the grocery store, walking home with my 10 bags. Like, no thank you. So make sure you're close to a grocery store, and I don't think that tip is talked about enough. I would say a big tip would be just to give your notice. If you live at home and moving out, obviously this does not apply. But if you are living somewhere, you have to give your notice because you need to give 2 months notice. And when you're looking at places, they're usually going to be available right now or at the beginning of next month. So you actually have to give your notice, or else you're going to be paying 2 rents for, I think, at least a month, minimum a month. So you just have to give your notice in and just do the work to make sure you get a space that you love. But I feel like that's kind of like what you have to do. You can't really get away from that. Talk to people from the building, and this is what we didn't do in our last place. We didn't speak to people, and maybe we would have found out a little bit more about the property managers that were not very good, and also just about the area that wasn't really for us. Basically, I would never hang out in that area where I used to live. I would go on Bay and like do certain things, but I wouldn't really hang out at Bay and Wellesley, and it was actually a little bit more east of that. And if I knew, I would have known not to move in that area, but I didn't know. So if you talk to some people in the area, or if we just spent more time walking around, then we would realize this space is not for us, even though it didn't feel sketchy when we were there. But if you live in that area, no offense, but you know what I'm talking about. Okay, my last tip for you guys will be to bring your documents. Places go so quick that you just need to bring your documents with you. Bring a proof of ID. You have to bring your employment letter if you are an employee, if you have an employer. Proof of funds, landlord recommendation letter. Like, bring your documents so you can at least show them. So we learned this after I think after property 4 or 5 we looked at, we just started to bring our documents with us. So if we wanted to give them in, we could, just to at least like show that we're serious. So we actually did that with our last place, like the place that we have now. We just gave it to her, and she knew how serious we were. She's like, okay. And she told us we have it. Like, she's like, you guys have it. So that was really good. And if you don't like a place, you just don't give in your information. Like, we had our stuff with us for 2 other places, and we just never gave them the stuff because we didn't want to move in. But yeah, those are the tips that I have for you guys when it comes to looking for a place to rent in any city, but specifically Toronto. I love Toronto. It's such a great city, but it's definitely difficult to find apartments here, and it is expensive. It's definitely so expensive, like, it's not even a joke. So if you enjoyed this video, I would appreciate it if you gave it a like. Comment down below your story for renting or any extra tips that you have. That would be really helpful for anybody watching, I'm sure. And good luck on your journey for finding a place. I wish you well, and just don't settle. That's like the hugest tip. Like, don't settle. Like, if we settled for some of those places, we would not have found this place that we feel so good in. So don't settle in anything in life, but definitely not where you live and not who you end up spending your life with. Don't settle with those things. Okay guys, I will see you next week, and just wishing you guys all a great week. Bye.